The typical domestic feel.
Vacuum cleaner just not.
Get Out and Travel is filmed before a live studio audience.
When we applied to live in the Azores, we knew we'd be giving up a certain level of convenience to be here. That's usually demonstrated by lesser choice in consumer goods and services. So when a cat decided to yeet a hard drive off of a shelf, breaking it, I chose to travel to get that data recovered.
Be glad for the daily flight to where everyone's polite on trains. And they're glad you spoke Portuguese. You wanna go where castles are and people are always saying, you wanna go get your data recovery.
Tonight on Searcher, will Searcher search his last criminal or will the criminal search him? At 10.
Before the whole hard drive fiasco, I was thinking of taking a few days to explore the island of Fayal. But now, my few days away have become more task-focused.
1. Get that hard drive recovered. 2. Since I'd be in Lisbon again, return to the Christmas market. And 3. See the castle. Day of the flight off island, we decided to leave around 3:30 a.m. to get to the airport around 4:30, giving me a full hour before boarding. Did I need the whole hour? No. I was checked in and I had no luggage. So I was there earlier than the desk people, I was there earlier than the security people, and earlier than some of the construction folks fixing up the airport. But once security opened, I breezed on through.
And may I add, there is nothing more luxurious than not taking your shoes off when going through security.
Before long, we were boarding, taking off and on our way to Lisbon. I had an aisle seat, so no cool plane footage, but good leg room. And sometimes I'd rather have the leg room. Once landed, I had plenty of time to turn in my hard drive as it was around 10:30 a.m. and I could not check into my hotel until around 3 p.m. Luckily, I found an office for the data recovery company near where I was staying. So I hopped the metro over to the Orient station on the Red Line. From there, I walked to the office. Once there, I learned I was supposed to fill stuff out online first, then come and turn in the hard drive.
They were nice though, and let me stay in the lobby to fill out the online form so I could hand in my hard drive. And I did pay for express diagnostics in the hopes that I could get it back before leaving Lisbon. I was so wrong.
Once complete, it was a little bit after the noon hour, and luckily, the Sky Bar at the hotel I was staying at opened at 12:30 p.m. My breakfast consisted of an apple and a coffee, so I was ready for lunch. On this trip, I was staying at the Tivoli Oriente Lisboa, right next to the Orient metro station. Up to the 16th floor and out on the patio for lunch. I ended up choosing the executive meal. It just seemed to make financial sense, unlike what the name seems to suggest. I got a delicious kimchi salmon appetizer, 20-piece sushi meal with a churro dessert, accompanied by a beer and an espresso, all packaged at a nice price. Excellent food, great service. After eating, I determined I didn't want to haul my heavy backpack with me all over town, so I stayed until I could check in. This definitely slowed me down for my first day, as in hindsight, I could have probably had my bag held at the front desk. But once checked in, I'd offload it into my room, and look at the room. It's very nice.
Minibar.
But anyway, it was time for me to get into the city while I was there. And according to my hastily put together plans, I was going to explore Alfama first. On this day, I had at least 8 different guys offer me cocaine or hashish. I was aware of this trend from watching Walter's World and said no and kept moving. It is so annoying.
You got the wrong idea about me.
No, I don't, guy. Now you have 10 seconds to get out of my bar.
But the Lisbon Cathedral was a good way to forget about all that. The collection on the second floor is not for photography, so I can't show you any of that. But it is worth seeing, if for nothing else, the reliquaries of St. Gregory and Elishu, the most bedazzled Eucharist holder I've ever seen, and a lot of robes. I'm not kidding, a lot of robes. The first floor allows for photography again. It's worth the price of admission. It has history. It has religion. It has an existential crisis Virgin Mary.
What else do you want? Sacramental wine? Come on, get out of here. Go on. Yeah, out. Yeah.
Next up was more climbing of the streets of Alfama to reach Castelo de São Jorge. I knew I was on the late side, especially with daylight dimming on me. Unluckily, I did not make it on time to be admitted. And that is where I was serenaded to I Shot the Sheriff, by whom I'll call the I Shot the Sheriff Street Band. Along with the pestering calls of the hot wine guy.
Hot wine, guys. Let's go. Hot wine is here.
From there, I zigzagged my way to the Rossio Christmas market. It was very much like I had remembered it. Just this time, they had some legally distinct characters. Question I left the market with this year is, what is gluing? Am I even pronouncing that right? Gluing. Thanks, Google. It's hot wine.
Ladies, hot wine.
From there, I jumped on the metro back to the hotel. According to my phone, I put in around 13,500 steps, and my feet were letting me know. So I put on my swimsuit and hit up the pool and jacuzzi.
Stupid me time.
I did not take off my wedding ring in the room because I forgot. So I left it with my towel. And when it was time to get back to the room, I gently unraveled the towel, but the ring jumped out off the deck chair to the wall and in a drainage grate. Luckily though, it didn't go down the drainage pipe. And the hotel staff, being excellent, helped me get it back within about 20 minutes to a half hour. So to offset the stress of being stupid and almost losing my wedding band, which was a gift from my wife and a physical representation of our love for each other, I returned to the Sky Bar for something to eat and drink. Marvelous service again.
Day 2 started with the sticker shock of how much that data recovery was going to cost.
It was around double of the advertised worst case pricing. Fun! But we made the mistake, so we're paying the price. Once the payment was made, the rest of the day was about seeing stuff again. And making sure to get to the castle this time. So, after a beautiful breakfast at the hotel, I got on the metro and took it down to Caixa do Sodré. to catch the bus over to the stop for the Belém ferry terminal.
Which is not the stop for the Belém Tower. I knew this.
Google Maps was a mess for stuff down there, and I just didn't think about using the directions function until later. I knew the tower was going to be busy, so I wanted to start there and work my way back. Walking from Jardim to Belém Tower took around 15 minutes. And I have a large gate, so your mileage may vary. Once at Jardim da Torre de Belém, the hawkers appeared, and the small groups of walkers congealed into a bigger mass of tourists. But it didn't look bad. And yet, there was a 2-hour wait to go inside. The fort was built in the 16th century and was used as a ceremonial gateway to Lisbon. I'm glad I put in the time to see it. Next, I walked to the Monument to Discoveries a short distance back. On the way is the Belém Lighthouse. Not sure if it's worth coming out just for that, but Google Maps has a huge highlight for it for some reason. You're modern. You're boring. You're a terrible landmark.
That's low.
The Monument to Discoveries is an impressive piece of art. It is not as historic as the Belém Tower. This monument was originally built in 1940 for the Portuguese World Exhibition. 3 years later, it was torn down as it was never meant to be permanent. The structure, sculptures, and tilework seen today are the results of efforts between 1958 and 1960 to celebrate the 5th centennial of the death of Henry the Navigator. Once again, I didn't go inside the structure as I was really absorbing the sculptures and tilework. Across the street, I was able to suss out a closer bus stop. So I crossed under the roads to Jardim da Praça do Império,
Where there were ducks.
Nearby is also a historic and well-known monastery and church, to be seen on another trip.
The castle awaits.
Using the bus, I crossed back over to Alfama. Which reminds me, if you'll be in Lisbon for a while, make sure you get a Carris cartão navegante. This card can be charged up to pay for your usage of a variety of services like buses, metro, ferry services, and other regional transit trains. This card costs 50 cents and can be reloaded at kiosks. Back in Alfama, I was sure I would be accosted by the same amount of people hitting me up to buy drugs.
Do I look like I want your drugs? Does it look like I have a lighter for your cigarettes? It's been this way since high school.
Luckily, only one guy with a few aviator sunglasses for sale tried. This time, I nearly had all afternoon for the castle, and it still was not enough time in my opinion. Started things off with a guided tour of uncovered ruins. The ruins date back to the 11th century when the Moors controlled the area. After that, it was time for the museum, which covers the history of the area of the castle from 7th century BC to the 18th century. Next was the castle proper. This is where I was able to finally walk the grounds of a true castle. I had been in castles that were more for vanity, not protection. This was different. When visiting again, this would be nearly an all-day event.
So prepare yourself, Bethany. It shall be a long day at the castle.
To catch all the guided tours, to listen to all the provided audio, to see all the things there is to see. Just outside the exit is the Church of Santa Cruz do Castillo. Days are shorter in November, and it was getting dark again. So I decided to head back to the hotel and relax. The castle was such a treat, I didn't feel the need to scamper over more of the city. I returned to the pool, and after that, did the Sky Bar again. Now Bethany wanted me to go down to the riverside where there are a bunch of restaurants, which she calls Restaurant Row, but my feet hurt, and I had done 15,000 steps that day. I didn't really feel like walking again, nor did I feel like fighting the throngs of folks getting ready to see Bryan Adams in concert at the Mayo Arena that night.
Day 3 was going to be a long day.
My flight out was not until around 10 p.m., so I had time to burn. Thankfully, the Tivoli held my bag until I needed to head to the airport. After another great breakfast, I headed to the river. Here, I hopped on the Telecabine for a short ride upriver to avoid some potential rain. After the Telecabine ride, I walked the river shore past the Vasco da Gama Bridge. There's a very nice park here, with a skate park and a BMX track. I walk fast, so I needed to slow down to take up more time. While on the way back, I strolled the nature areas along Restaurant Row and stopped at the Irish pub for a pint of Guinness and to avoid a downpour at the same time. At this point, I determined my next course of action. It was time for the Oceanário de Lisboa. I had low expectations, but that was mainly because the last time I was at an aquarium was maybe middle school going to the Shed in Chicago. I had time, so I attempted to do it all. The Japanese River Life Cycle exhibit, the One Ocean short film exhibit, the main aquarium, the side exhibits. I tried to do it all. I enjoyed the Oceanário. I wouldn't say I'd be pushing to go again anytime soon, but I believe you get your money's worth there. Plus, I saw a living sunfish for the first time ever. And with that done, I collected my bag from the hotel. I got a meal from Restaurant Row at Zhang-La-La before heading back to the airport to fly home with 16,000 steps logged for the third day.
Is our data recovered? No. Almost 2 months after turning in the hard drive, we got the news that it was too damaged to recover any data.
Was the trip to Lisbon worth it this time? I'd say yeah. The cost of flying there doesn't make it a lark, but it's still accessible. Plus, while the Tivoli has 5-star service, it doesn't come with a 5-star price, nor the 5-star pompousness.
While I don't appreciate my cats destroying a hard drive, I can appreciate all the things Lisboa has to offer. So if you find yourself in Portugal in the near future, make sure to check out Lisbon while you get out and travel. Sorry, back on São Miguel.